Okay, guys. So, how do I know it's God talking to me? Okay, so I'm going to try to explain that today, and I also want to talk about, which is going to be the end, more so near the end of the video, about the Bible not being perfect. It's not perfect according to God. God confirmed that to me. So, but that does not mean the Bible is not reliable. Okay, I'm going to explain everything at the end, so don't just cut out. Jesus Christ is God. He did confirm the Trinity is true. But the Bible is not perfect, and people are definitely mistranslating the Bible. And well, we'll just save it for later. But yeah, let's talk about how do I know if it's God actually talking to me. Okay, so God started actually communicating with me 5-6 years ago, but he did not actually have full-on fledged conversations with me until sometime 2024 in the summer. So before, he spoke to me once, and that was before, when I was an atheist. Like, I actually heard his voice. That was when I was actually an atheist, or agnostic. It was the best way. Atheist, agnostic. I heard his voice, and that propelled me, and that was 5-6 years ago, propelled me to search for God. And through that time, the only way God's ever communicated with me was through people, dreams, visions, and through my thoughts and also my feelings. So that's how God communicated with me. Everything was just complete faith, right? And I kind of just, and obviously the Word of God, the book, the Bible. And I never really actually heard God's voice, right? Like, except that one time way at the beginning. It was almost like he was yelling at me way back at the beginning, because I think at that point he really needed me to pay attention, like to lock in. And I think he really needed to get me to go in the right direction, because I was about to go in a really bad direction. Okay, so how do I know it's him? I remember when he first started talking to me, the full-fledged conversations in the summer, 2024, right? I did not know for a fact it was God. At first, I thought it was a demon. And the reason why I thought it was a demon was because he contradicted some of the things in the Bible. He knew things, which, I mean, I knew God knows things. I know he knows all things, but he knew things. So I assumed it was just a demon. And I'm just assuming, like, why would God be talking to me? You know what I mean? Like, full-fledged, like straight on talking to me. And again, the contradictions when it comes to the Bible was also like a red flag for me, because I've been taught, I've learned from other people and stuff like that. You got to be careful, right? So at first, I did not believe it was God. I did not believe it was God talking to me. I ignored like almost everything he said. I kind of considered most of it, because he was convincing, very convincing, but I was wary, okay, about whether this was God or not. It was only until around December when I started to realize everything God was telling me when in the summer started coming true, because he would tell me like certain things were going to happen. And then guess what? They did happen. Like, those things were going to happen. They started happening in my life. And that's when I started really considering that this is God. This is God. And then he started talking to me again in December. And he started saying basically some of the same stuff he was saying then. And then he told me some new stuff in December. He would tell me far off future things that were going to happen in my life, and then he would tell me near future things that were going to happen in my life. And when it came to the near future things, I would answer like if. I would always say, like, if this happens, I'll do this, or that'd be good, or something like that, right? And every time I said if, he would get mad almost every time. And it's because he's God, right? If he can do anything, he can do whatever he wants. And I wasn't believing, right, in that moment. It's because I couldn't. It was almost impossible to believe him in that early stage. I wasn't certain that it was him. God, all I knew God from was the scriptures. That's where I'm getting most of my information from, and other people online that I heard from. I didn't know God. Like, I didn't have a way to talk to him straight up and to confirm certain things here and there. You get what I'm saying? So this was the first time that was possible. So why, in my head, I'm thinking, why should I listen to this being? Again, why is God talking to me? So it's like, I can't believe this. Like, it's almost, and some of the stuff he's saying is almost unbelievable. Like, some of the stuff he tells you is unbelievable. So it's another reason why I wasn't quite sure at the beginning. Again, I started to listen to him in December, because everything he's had said was starting to say was actually coming true. And again, it's not like the things the stuff that he was contradicting the Bible. He was honestly just giving another perspective, because we're going to look at certain things a certain way, and things are being taught a certain way. And he was giving me a different way to look at it. It's not like he doesn't confirm or reaffirm the Bible. He does. He just knows the truth. So I'm going to listen to him. I trust God. I trust God. I think about God every day. He doesn't talk to me every day. He doesn't have full-fledged conversations with me every day. It was only those 2 times. It was in the summer, and it was in December on the 17th. So I realized that. So when it comes to God talking to me, it's more so faith, and I've chosen to believe that it is. And the reason why is because God, whatever's talking to me is good. It hasn't done anything crazy, wild, or anything like that. He loves the Bible, encourages reading the scriptures, encourages reading the Bible, all that stuff. Nothing bad ever. All goodness. Everything has been good. Nothing but love. I think this thing's only the being God. Well, I'm going to call it God. I'm sorry. Threatened me one time, and the reason why was for its own benefit. And I'll give you an example from the Bible to show you that him threatening wasn't bad. I'm not going to explain why he did, but it was for good reasons. But here's an example. I don't know the book, or probably, I think maybe it's Exodus. I can't remember, but there's a dude that God told, like, they had a certain law where if the husband dies, the brother would take on the duties of to perform with the brother's wife or something like that. And one of the brothers was supposed to mate with his brother's wife. He was supposed to take on that role and that duty, and he chose not to. He spilled his seed on the ground, right? And then God killed him. And that's because God told him to do something. He didn't do it. And I guess whatever God was telling him to do was very important, and he chose not to do it, right? So, so if you can see it from that perspective, that's why God ended up threatening me, because there was something. Basically, he was like, I'm getting in his way. Okay. Because our free will, God respects our free will. Literally does. He completely respects our free will. Again, everything's good. Everything he said came true as well. He knows everything. He knew like almost everything about me, my whole and complete past. He believes in everyone. He wants to save everyone as well. So that's the reason why I believe it's God. I don't think a demon would talk about Jesus being God. I don't think demons would talk about Jesus being like just being great. I don't think they would confirm the Trinity. I don't think that they just wouldn't be as good as this being. I can't prove to you guys that it's God talking to me, but I can promise you it's God talking to me. Like, I'm not some crazy deluded guy. I didn't believe at first. It took me months until I started to realize like everything this guy's saying is true. It's coming true. And not only is it coming true, he's saying really good stuff, and he confirms the Bible. Obviously, he doesn't say it's perfect. He knows it's not perfect. And what he means by it's not perfect is how he put it was languages and translations, meaning that, and we can confirm this ourselves. The Muslims talk about the Bible not being perfect all the time, and they're right, right? They are right. It's not perfect. And we know it's not perfect. Even as Christians, we know that some of the translations and the interpretations are a little bit flawed. Again, that does not mean the Bible's not reliable. So I'm not saying it's not reliable. It is reliable. It's a reliable document. But again, the fact that we have free will is going to cause some errors here and there, and that's a fact. Like God told me that I'm going to study the Holy Scriptures and stuff like that. He's going to send me to school for it, and then I'm going to be a pastor. I actually didn't believe that any of that was true. God was telling me that because he saw what's going to happen. He saw also what I'm capable of and what I can do. And I remember today when I was taking a shower, it was the first time where I was like, I can do this. I can honestly do that. And I started understanding some of the scriptures. I started understanding like how God is and how he actually works and how this world works. And it's because he's talking to me. And when you're hanging out with God and you're talking to him, you start to really, especially when you're answering questions, you start to really understand how this works and how it works from the scriptures. Most people interpret the scriptures completely wrong. They do. Some people take some of the stories way too literal. Some of the stories are extremely too literal. Some of them are lessons. Some of the stuff in there are lessons to teach us how to behave. Like there's just stories to teach us what not to do, how you should go about things and stuff like that. The God that I talk to is literally all love. The being that's talking to me It's been completely loving the whole entire time, besides the one time he threatened me. And even then, that was an act of love, because at the time he was just trying to save someone and I was getting in the way. So, and I wasn't listening. I was not listening to him. And that was because there's reasons for that, right? Because my faith wasn't as strong as it is now. I can promise you, my faith has grew a lot from going through this depression, through the breakup, losing the kids, all that. My faith has grew immensely. And I thank God, honestly, that he's communicated with me, and because he didn't have to. Oh, and I'll give you another example as well. In the summer, someone called me, right? And when I answered the phone, they were freaking out, right? And they said on the phone that God told them to call me, okay? God had told them to call me. And they said the reason why God told them to call me is because I would understand, and I wouldn't judge. I would listen to them. And so I did. And this person basically was hearing from God, but they didn't understand that they thought they were going crazy. Okay. So I listened to them. And at first, and obviously I'm not just going to assume it's God, right? I don't do that. I don't know. So I assume the first thing I'm assuming is a demon. I'm like, this is the devil, right? But after talking to the person and listening to him, everything was good. And now this person's doing good. This person's healthy, and this person's living a good life. And they're not going to some behavioral hospital because some people don't understand what's actually going on. This person actually hears from God. And I help this person confirm that, and they can live a normal life without feeling like they're crazy, because most average people are going to tell you crazy because they don't understand what you're going through. God communicates with me. God actually talks to me. You can say, oh, I curse, do this. God has to clean me up. You know what I'm saying? It's not a straightforward process. Look at Paul, right, in the Bible. Saul, then he became Paul. He talks about how he struggled with sin. I'm going to struggle with sin until God gets me to a point where I'm borderline perfect, right? Because you have to follow Jesus Christ. And that's how it works as well. God has to perfect you. You can't do it by yourself. You can't do it alone. So, yeah, God communicates with me. I'm not some prophet or anything like that. I can't explain everything to you guys because he told me not to, but there will be a point when I can. But God actually does talk to me. At first, I did not think it was him because I'm naturally skeptical. But as time went on, I started to realize it is God. I always had faith in God. Not always, like before I became Christian, but this whole summer, during the depression, all that, I always had faith in God. And I think that's why God's communicating with me. Plus, he has a plan for me. And I think he knows that I'm genuine and I'm authentic. And I would say the love comes more from him, because I think he's within me. And I have an immense amount of love for everybody that I come in contact with. And I sacrifice, I would say, in my area, right, my region, I am the most loving person around. I can promise you that. I've never bumped into someone who sacrifices more than myself, honestly, and don't expect to get anything in return. So yeah, God communicates with me. The Bible is not perfect, and all he said basically was that languages and translations are the reason why it's not. And obviously, people's interpretations are another reason. Some people have biases, and some people want to have it a certain way. Me, I don't care. I just want the truth, and I think God understands that. I have no agendas. I have no biases. I don't care as long as it's telling me the truth and it's real. I'm with it. So yeah, you can believe me or don't believe me. I don't honestly care. I'm just going to spread what I think God wants me to spread. I think the next thing I'm going to talk about, salvation. I want to talk about what it really means to be childlike. There was another thing I wanted to talk about as well. I want to talk about predestination as well. Are all things predestined? I'm going to talk about that as well. Thank you guys for listening. You guys take care, and God bless. Peace.